How you ride a bike round a bend says a lot about you, and Troy Bayliss does it fast. But then he is three-time World Superbike champion. The Algarve Raceway, the location of the last Superbike World Championship. This time he's not riding his race bike though, but the Civi spin-off, the new Ducati 1198S. Tony knows every Ducati Superbike back to the legendary 916, so who better to assess the potential of the new kid on the block?
Of course, the bikes have become more faster every year. They're becoming more powerful, and actually this bike is the first one that they've had that's had traction control for on the road. And I think this is a very good thing because it's making the bike safer for everybody to ride.
The traction control is steered by the engine management system. It handles the diverse parameters like slip and engine speed. The data can be stored on a USB drive, then evaluated on a laptop. Just like a real race team, the rider's lap is there for all to see. A nice gimmick that shows just what customers are expecting from sport bike design in the next few years. But the traction control is no toy. It helps the rider to handle the powerful output. Not every Ducati buyer is a racing driver, and not everyone wants to run the risk of pushing the bike to its limits and writing off their investment. With 170 horsepower and 134 Newton-meters of torque, the 1198S is the toughest two-cylinder sports bike in its class. You can also buy a normal version without the S. It'll save you €4,200, but you'll lose out on the lightweight rims, the Erlins branded factory parts, and most importantly, the traction control. So, how does it fare in practice? The red curve shows when the system is being applied. It's set off every time there's an uptake of gas on a bend. The forerunner of this system is used in the Ducati 1098R, and the technicians have learned from its faults. The traction control was being overworked, but now it's much smoother than before. In driving mode, you can hardly feel the system working. You might just about feel it when you turn it off or have just turned it fully on. Then you notice that the motor takes off a bit of pressure when you come out of a bend and the tires are in danger of skidding. Aside from the traction control, we mustn't forget the athletic prowess of the Ducati. Just like its predecessor, the 1098 shines with sharp precision, light handling, and perfect stability. A real Ducati. Otherwise, Troy Bayliss wouldn't have won 3 Superbike World Championships with this Italian racer. At the end of 2008, Troy hung up his helmet and stood down from racing, but the brand still looks odds-on for victory.
Every year, honestly, the bikes are becoming so much better on the road. This bike here, I was riding it 2 days ago here. The complete street bike as is. Honestly, the gearing, everything, all the bikes here are set for the road. I got within 4 seconds of my lap record on the Superbike. On-road tyres, lights, blinkers, everything. And like when we go 4 seconds from the lap record, this is a good thing for the production motorcycle.
The dust had barely settled on the Ducati 1198S when the Italians got the ball rolling on their next project, ready to demoralize their Japanese rivals. This time a racing bike with a different look, the Street Fighter. Yes, it's really called that. It's a new breed that cuts a fine figure away from the track. But this machine, with its feisty name, feels just as at home on the racetrack as in the urban jungle. The first street fighters emerged at the end of the 80s in England. Bikes that were completely wrecked were slowly brought back to life by their owners with very little money. That started a trend that still exists today. The name of the Italian interpretation is a battle cry to all their competitors, So the world's motorbike media are watching with interest to see what comes next. In basic terms, the Street Fighter is a stripped-down 1198. The wheelbase has been increased for greater stability. The V2 remains at the core with a powerful 155 horsepower. All manner of Ducati performance parts are also on hand to add a bit of bling. Time for us finally to get this bike on the road. After a few kilometers, the Ducati lets its character shine through. The first impression is of a really very stable motorbike, definitely high performance. The wind is against us, and that makes some of the corners a bit unpredictable. You don't quite know whether you're being pushed from above or below, so that affected the test results a bit. But performance-wise, this thing is really good. The first impressions of the chassis are that it's really stable for a naked bike in this class, so I'm keen to see how the next run goes. Just hoping this wind eases off a bit, though. And as the hurricane raged, so did the Street Fighter. At a lean 167 kilos, the dry weight of the Ducati is the best of any production naked bike in the world. So you get light-footed handling, razor-sharp precision, and almost unshakable stability. But some people still complain about the calibration. What does his colleague think? Well, his first impressions are good, a manageable motorbike, a bit soft in the standard calibration maybe, but that can easily be fixed. And the traction control kicks in a bit early, but if the wind would just die down a bit, he reckons it would be more fun.
Ansonsten wunderschönes Areal. Wenn der Wind ein bisschen abschwächen würde, ich denke mal, dann würde man noch ein bisschen mehr Spaß.
Too soft at the front, too hard at the back. That's what you always read in the press. We asked Vittoriano Guareschi, the Ducati test driver of Grand Prix fame, what he thought of the calibration.
For me, I prefer the softer in the front because I want to understand the front tire. When the front, when the front shock is hard, it's not possible to understand the tire when work and when no work. In this case, maybe the feeling is a little soft, but I understand when I lose the front. When it's hard, it's crash in 1 second. It's good for me for this bike because 90% the use is in the street.
Listen up then, this man knows what he's talking about. He tests the Ducati MotoGP motorbike. He's certainly got the calibration right. The Ducati corners like it's on rails. This is where you really get to see how closely related it is to the racing bike. In a very clever way, this motorbike combines two worlds without having to make any major compromises. Higher top speed, comfortable seating position, light handling, great stability. Vittoriano's eyes light up every time when he talks about the Street Fighter, and from a real racing driver and motorcycle maniac, that's a good sign.
Do you own by yourself?
I don't know, many, because I like the whole bike and I like a new bike. I have maybe 10 bikes. I like it. I buy one bike for the summer because it's very fun for the city and for around in the mountain.
Ducati is well known for developing uncompromising sports bikes, so we asked the product manager, Giulio Malagoli, whether the Street Fighter actually has a place in their portfolio.
What is the reason why Ducati built the Street Fighter?
We built this Street Fighter to join together a superbike and the naked bike. The superbike, obviously, we start from 1098, so our standard superbike now is the 1198, and the naked bike is obviously the monster with the upright position. So to build a bike that is fast like a superbike, if you go on a racetrack, there is almost no difference, but you can use every day if you want, because you have an quite upright riding position, so you can go also very slow in the town traffic without big problems. We hope that there are a lot of kind of customer, we can say, for this bike, because one kind of customer is the current owner of a superbike, Ducati or other brands, doesn't matter, because so a person who is looking for a lot of horsepower, a lot of torque, a lot of performances, but with a more comfortable riding position. Then there are a lot of customers that for sure will come from the current naked, so Monster in Ducati, or all the other naked from other brands. So they are looking for the the best performing naked bike.
The Ducati Street Fighter is the sturdiest production bike in its weight class. It fires ahead like a bullet from a gun, but this bike's so well behaved you can't help but relax and enjoy the ride. To sum it up, a bike like the Ducati Street Fighter that handles itself so brilliantly on the racetrack will conquer the city in no time at all.